Mario Kart World has a theming problem. Actually, it's not just Mario Kart World, it's Mario Kart in general. This isn't going to be me talking about straightaways or how empty the open world feels or how hot Daisy got for no reason.
She is very gorgeous to me!
It's more so to take a deep dive into the theming of Mario Kart because there's some small aesthetic choices that we're kind of just used to but are actually pretty weird when you think about it, and I haven't really seen many people bring this up. What's poppin', y'all? I'm Michael and this is Go Play Hero. I gotta start by saying I love Mario Kart, love Mario, big fan. Not at all here to hate on the series, and I fully recognize that a lot of what I'm about to bring up amounts to tiny details that the average player isn't necessarily going to think about. And to be honest, the theming of Mario Kart isn't something I thought much about either until very recently. By theming, I'm referring to the character picks, certain courses, and the wider role of Mario Kart for Nintendo, especially with Mario Kart World. I want to start with the courses. I actually love most of these courses here. This isn't coming at them from a design standpoint or a fun standpoint, strictly from a theming standpoint. Do you know what some of the Mario Kart courses remind me of? They remind me of California Adventure. If you don't know, California Adventure is a Disney park that's located across from Disneyland proper. It's not my favorite, I'm gonna be honest. Not because there aren't some good rides, but because the theme fundamentally doesn't work. It's a theme park based around California, located in actual California. You can literally drive 40 minutes north and see the real versions of what they're imitating at the park. Granted, with more trash and crackheads, but still. The Avengers campus is there for what? And the skyline just does not look right. This clunky eyesore used to be the Hollywood Hotel for Tower of Terror, which made sense with the old Hollywood feel, but now it's just Guardians of the Galaxy. It's some weird space building just smack dab in the center of it all. They also used to have Bugs Land here. Again, what does that have to do with California? Pixar Pier is here. What does that have to do with California? Why am I pretending to be in California in California? It doesn't make sense. That's how I feel about some of the Mario Kart tracks, especially with the character-centered ones. It's okay sometimes, like Waluigi Pinball, fine, okay. Waluigi doesn't really have a specific character trait that would necessarily constitute a full track, but then we have picks like Wario Stadium or Wario Shipyard or Galleon, whatever you want to call it, both of which are returning to Mario Kart World, and I just don't understand what either of these tracks has to do with Wario. I get that Wario Stadium is from the 64 and they were more limited back then, but in the year of our savior, Luigi 2025, what does this have to do with Wario? Galleon or Shipyard kinda makes sense, I guess, like pirates, he likes gold, he likes treasure, but it's a bit of a reach, right? Wario's gold mine was perfect, he's a greedy bastard that loves gold, makes complete sense he would have a gold mine. But if you're gonna make a Wario themed course, why not like a garlic factory, or again, something related to gold or treasure like they've done before? Or imagine a WarioWare themed course where there's a section that has a microgame as an obstacle that changes and gets more intense with each lap. Or he rides motorcycles. Do an enhanced version of the Wario Coliseum from Double Dash, how they had that big spherical cage and you could ride along the walls like a motorcycle stunt person. It's all right there. And in 8 we had Mount Wario, which was a great track, one of my favorites actually, but why is it Wario themed? Really, it has nothing to do with Wario other than that hot air balloon. If Wario was gonna claim a mountain for himself, given how narcissistic he is, I feel like he would have his face plastered everywhere. But he has no ties to the snow or snowboarding or mountains. They could have just named this something neutral like Dandelion Depths did. On that note, what is up with so many characters having snow or ice themed courses for no reason? I get it, we gotta have our snow world course for each game. Sherbet Land, totally fine. It's a snow track, but not centered around a character. But then we have Rosalina's Ice World. Rosalina's Ice World? I'm so glad we have Starry Peak in Mario Kart World because it makes way more sense as a Rosalina stage. But Rosalina's Ice World? This is just a generic winter track with Rosalina's name slapped on it. She's like a goddess of the cosmos. She watches over all these vast galaxies and you just give her a random snow planet and call it a day? Why wouldn't it have been the observatory or even something more directly space themed to begin with? Maybe the ice is referring to the comet, but then call it Rosalina's Comet or something. Have it so you're racing on an icy comet that's flying through space super fast and all the stars in the sky are zooming by in the horizon. And do not get me started on DK Summit and DK Pass. Donkey Kong and Snowy Mountain do not go together. You could say it's maybe tied to Tropical Freeze now, but these courses were made well before then. DK tracks should be jungle themed, banana themed, minecart themed, something like that. Bro would probably even be a better fit for the Shipyard given his ties to K Rool, and don't worry, we're getting to K Rool. But 2 snow themed courses for Donkey Kong? That ape from the jungle? Nah, bro, he just likes to ski. DK has had some good tracks throughout the games that definitely play on that jungle, rustic, barrel-filled aesthetic, but it's weird that DK Pass is the only DK track that they chose to bring back in Mario Kart World. I don't know, man, I feel like the character courses should reflect the identity of the characters. DK Spaceport is cool, at least, a nice nod to the OG arcade game, which was sorely missing from Mario Kart all these years, but it's a spaceport. Why is it a spaceport? I guess it's fine. It's tied to Crown City. Hold up. The Donkey Kong themed spaceport is connected to Crown City, which is just some made-up city. Please explain to me why and how this isn't New Donk City. You have a city. It's a city you already have in the Mario world that's literally based on Donkey Kong, and it connects to the DK spaceport. It's so obvious. Why in Luigi's name would they not just make this course New Donk City? Which leads me to another problem with the tracks, which is they just don't utilize their existing world as much as they could. They don't all have to be from an existing Mario game, of course. That could get boring. I love having original tracks like Choco Mountain or Baby Park, and obviously Rainbow Road is a staple, but there are so many locations in the Mario world that just aren't explored in Mario Kart for some reason. They do this sometimes, like Delfino Square in DS, but we haven't seen Delfino in a grip. We got Yoshi's Island in 8 Deluxe, but it was gone just as quickly as it appeared. I am glad that they brought back Airship Fortress as a nice Super Mario 3 reference. And there have been a small handful of others like it in past games, but just not as much as you would think. Odyssey hasn't gotten any love despite all these kingdoms they made just for that game alone. No Bob-omb Battlefield after all these years, nothing from the Flower Kingdom, nothing from Sarasa Land, nothing from Diamond City. This feels especially noticeable to me in Mario Kart World. It's Mario Kart World. I want to feel like I'm driving through a condensed version of Mario's world, and there's more than enough to work with. And with this open world, they would have even more opportunity to base some of the intermission highways off of these locations if they wanted to. Imagine having Super Bell Hill as like an intermission location, and the music from that stage plays in the background. Like, these types of locations don't necessarily have to always be full-blown courses in this game if they don't want them to be. But it doesn't stop with the courses. The rosters for Mario Kart have been a point of contention for a hot minute. I think in the beginning, for the first few games, they were able to get away with a more modest lineup because they didn't have as much to work with, and obviously there were hardware limitations, but as time goes on, it gets more and more apparent they're missing like several chunks of the Mario universe, and I think it's a really big missed opportunity. Of course, we have the enemies this time around, and they're a nice touch for sure, but again, they're not using all at their disposal. I know this is because they already had the models for these enemies in the game, so they're easy to design, but just let's dream for a moment. Mario is a huge universe with tons of spin-offs and little worlds within the world itself, and Mario Kart pretty much never takes advantage of this. It is wild that we had to wait almost 10 years for Diddy Kong and Birdo to be in Mario Kart 8. These two should be locks for every game day one at this point. But even beyond that, there are entire sub-series that got little to nothing. Luigi's Mansion, Yoshi, WarioWare, Wario Land, Donkey Kong, the Peach games, Dr. Mario, Paper Mario, Mario Luigi, Mario RPG. We pretty much never see characters from these series, but why? How have we not gotten EGAD or some of the ghosts from Luigi's Mansion yet? There are so many dope characters in Wario Land and WarioWare, but they're just stuck there. We've gotten a small handful of the Kongs, obviously, but like, what about all of the others? At least Cranky? And yeah, the age-old question, where is K Rool? Where are the Kremlings? Free them, please. But it's not even just the spin-offs. Again, with Mario Odyssey, none of the new species that they introduced from all of those kingdoms they made have been anywhere to be found since the game dropped. It's like, other than Pauline, they forgot that game even happened. Like, not even Cappy. Also, no Lumas either? Side tangent? Damn. The roster has been talked about to death. I'm not gonna harp on it too long, but I want to get to why I think they should be more intentional with their theming and take advantage of their interconnected world more. Mario Kart moving forward should be Mario's Smash Bros. I know that sounds weird because there's plenty of Mario representation in Smash, but I think in the way that Smash is a celebration of Nintendo and gaming as a whole, Mario Kart should be a celebration of Mario as a whole. Mario Kart at this point is an even bigger IP than the mainline games. Mario Kart is a household staple, and pro tip, It does really well on dates. You're welcome. And not only that, but Smash has historically been a way for people to become more acquainted with new characters in series that they've never heard of before. It's a large part of why Fire Emblem blew up in the West years after debuting. We didn't even know what Fire Emblem was in America until Melee, and I distinctly remember having my dad buy me Fire Emblem on the GBA because I wanted to see where Marth and Roy came from. And I know I'm not alone. It was Sacred Stones. They weren't even in that game. I barely played it. With so many eyes on Mario Kart, Nintendo should use this as an opportunity to promote their other Mario adjacent franchises. I can all but guarantee if you threw in my boy Jimmy T and a WarioWare course, WarioWare will see an uptick in sales, no doubt. And not only that, but these kinds of additions from Mario's wider world would just be a nice treat for diehard fans who've played all the games. And tying this into theming, it almost seems like they're trying to do this with the music lineup in Mario Kart World. Like, there are some amazing remixes from not just all of Mario Kart, but from all of Mario, including the spin-offs, which makes it so much more confusing. If you're gonna have probably hundreds of reimagined pieces celebrating Mario's entire history play in the background, then why doesn't the game itself feel like it's celebrating Mario's entire history? There's just some weird dissonance there. There was a moment where Jungle Hijinks from Donkey Kong Country was playing in free roam randomly. Classic DK track. Great swingy, jazzy vibe. It's an absolute banger. But as incredible as the music is, there's this feeling of like, why is this song playing here right now? It's just out of place. DK actually got shafted pretty hard in this game, all things considered, and the Country series especially doesn't feel well represented at all, or even really acknowledged. It actually feels less represented than past Mario Kart games. Then you stop caring because the music is so good and it doesn't really matter. But there is that moment. There's that moment of, but why though? It's like Mario Kart World wants to both recognize its source material, but also ignore it completely simultaneously. This is why I don't want them to do a huge Smash Bros.-esque Nintendo crossover Mario Kart game. Sure, a few guests here and there are fine. 8 Deluxe had a great balance, but Mario hasn't even fully tapped into Mario yet. There's still so much potential, and I think they should really explore that as much as they can first. At the end of the day, none of this is going to affect your average Mario Kart experience. I'm not gonna be that one dude at the party going, why is DK Pass themed after Donkey Kong? Donkey Kong has nothing to do with the snow. I recognize most people are not gonna care, and when I'm playing and having a fun time, it really doesn't matter that much. But I do think the experience could be enhanced a bit, just with that extra attention to detail added to the overall feeling that Mario Kart World is a more cohesive, stripped down version of Mario's universe, with deeper cut characters and love shown for Mario's entire library, and course themes that are more thematically resonant with the characters and source material that they're trying to pull from. What do y'all think? Have these things ever bothered you? Do you think Mario Kart should be more than what it is? Have you ever played Mario Kart on a date? You really should, bro. I'm telling you. Anyways, thanks so much for watching. I'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace and hair grease. Oh, and the Kamek item is bad, and I hate it.